You're listening to Marketing Talks. Digital marketers and entrepreneurs talk about work, life, and more. Hosted by Daniel Moore.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Today, I'm hosting my good friend and colleague, the super talented Joey Balazs. How are you, Joey?
Sure. Thanks. Name's Joey. I've been in the industry for about 14 years. Currently, I'm heading marketing at CoreLogics for the past 2+ years. My expertise originally are in the world of marketing operations, automation, and now I'm kind of across the board, full spectrum marketer.
Great. Thank you for introducing yourself, Joey. We met while working at Yotpo. I worked at the paid acquisition team. We ran ads across a bunch of different ad platforms, including direct response, some more upper funnel, mid funnel activities. And Joey worked at a marketing operations team, mostly handling business applications, some CRM, some email marketing, and so on and so forth. Apart from being a really good teammate and a sole player, I remember you as someone who was really into self-evolvement, taking courses, listening to podcasts, participating in discussions. Like, where do you go to learn new stuff? Are you on Reddit? Do you follow any communities? Are they product-related communities? Are they, for instance, I don't know, like the Monday community forum? Or maybe like myself, I'm really into Facebook groups, like professional groups about different things, about different products, about different skills. And I read Search Engine Journal regularly. What do you do to inspire yourself to learn new stuff?
Sure. It's super important to me. It's super crucial to my development professionally. YouTube is huge for me. I'm a heavy YouTube user. A lot of the things that I learn are through YouTube. I have my set of podcasts that I listen to. Follow very specific influencers in the marketing world for sure. Cover their content and read their content on social media and through their blogs. And also I have my marketing communities, my marketing ops communities that I'm a part of, that I'm active in, and very important for me to also pull information from there as well.
So what type of groups and communities, and where do they live? Are they on Facebook/LinkedIn? Are they on independent forums, online forums, Twitter? I don't know, Telegram, maybe?
So the big groups I'm a part of are like multi system groups. They're just like a group that's in LinkedIn we meet up physically. There's a WhatsApp group connected to them. So a good one that I'm a part of is GCMOs, which is an amazing a group for marketing leadership in Israel that I'm a part of now for over a year. It's been very, very educational and informative, and a great community to interact with. I've been for a long time a part of the Marketo user group in Israel for the marketing ops stuff. I'm also part of several marketing meetup groups as well. All kinds. And each of these groups, they have their WhatsApp group, they have their physical meetups. I think it's important that there's kind of a different, different kinds of, forums that these meetups, these groups interact with. I think it's very important for education.
Sounds great. Thanks for sharing, Joey. Another source I use regularly is Udemy. I take courses on Udemy. I think it's great. It's really affordable for any professional, different things where you might need support. They also offer lifetime support via some sort of a Q&A. So you post questions and people answer. Someone from the team or any other participant or another student actually answer your questions. Really good, really affordable, really nice to get some new skills and expand, your skill set. Moving forward, I would like to talk to you about the transition you've made from being a teammate in a given marketing team, which we both were while working for Yotpo, the transition you've made to building your own marketing team mentally first. I think it's very important. Some listeners out there listening to us now are about to do that move, perhaps if they got recruited to build a team, or their startup just grew recently and now they need to start their own team and get some more working hands. What does it take from you mentally to do that transition now that you're not in charge only for your own work, you're in charge for others? You have to divide your time, you have to be more strategist rather than just one-man show. Get some culture out there, get some vibe maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to start things off, I've been always very interested in the psychology of management and how to build a very efficient and very efficient, very fun environment for a team, and how those team dynamics work. So I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of research before I even got the opportunity to be a manager. Not for the sake of being a manager, but it was just very interesting for me as a part of a team as well. It was very important for me to also understand how best to play the dynamics with my manager and how to be a good contributor to a team. And so through that, I also learned how to be, theoretically, how to be a manager. But usually, all these things, theory doesn't necessarily prepare you for life. It's definitely a start, but it's definitely not the same as actually doing it. So it's I've managed teams before in previous companies after Yotpo. And so I got that, but these teams were already there, so I kind of adopted those teams, and some of those teams I grew while already having a team. So I guess it was a bit easier because a team structure was already there. So that was kind of like a stepping stone for me to kind of learn how to deal with the team dynamics, learn with the team psychologies and everything, and how to deal with different types of people. And their work ethic, and then to kind of just make sure that I build an efficient, supportive team structure. I think there were three things that really, in my head, scoped this really well, and kind of made me understand the role of a true manager. So obviously there's that role of being a mentor, and being able to provide this mentorship to the team that you're managing, and being a kind of a person that could help them further improve and progress professionally.
Is it mentor or psychologist or both?
I think it's both. A mentor is both, definitely. It's both. There's an element of psychology and there's an element of teaching as well. And so mentoring is super, super important. And I think it really, being a good mentor will keep your team longer, right? If there is no mentorship, a lot of people tend to leave managers just because they feel like they cannot continue in their growth, professional growth. And then the second thing is strategist, right? So obviously everyone as a manager, or when hiring a manager, they're looking for a strategist. And as a manager managing a team, it's important to be a strategist, but also what I call a functioning strategist, where you are a partner in strategy with your team. So you hire people who you hope are experts at what they do. And I'm highly against micromanagement. So I believe that when it comes to strategy, it's my capabilities as a strategist working with them, honing their skills to become a better strategist, and working together to build a strategy. So that's definitely an extremely important element to it. And the third is just kind of there's the strategist, there's the mentor, and then there's the executor. And I go back to this idea that a manager should be an active manager, and not just a passive manager. And so execution is key, right? As a manager, you need to be a perfectionist, and you need to be able to execute whatever you are planning, whatever you're are doing to the highest of expectations, and that serves as a strong template for your team. In my transition from being an individual contributor in a team to a manager, the first thing that I did in my preparation, even though I wasn't preparing to be a manager, but it was something that I was definitely interested psychologically on how it works, the dynamics. I read a lot about how, team dynamics. I read about, all these like psychological elements about it, and optimized structuring and all that stuff, and communications and everything. And so it was very important for me to be a very efficient member of a team, right? And how do I communicate best with my manager, upwards management situation. And then I got an opportunity to manage a team that was already built, right? To take over management of a team. And that helped me kind of take all the lessons that I learned as an individual contributor and try to now put it to a team that I manage. In that middle stage, which was before CoreLogics, what I learned was management is kind of broken out into these three disciplines that are really, really important. One being a mentor, being someone who is able to mentor and teach and help the team, professionally, continue in their professional careers and to improve and get better at what they do. There's the strategist element. And because I'm anti-micromanagement, I very much believe in being a partner in strategy with my team. So I'm hiring experts at what they do. And my job is to be a partner with them to build and improve their strategies on top of the vision and strategy that I have as a manager, and to work together with them. So there's this element of strategist as a manager. And then the third thing that is very important is executor, right? A manager should be an ideal executor, right? A person who knows how to execute at a very high level, at a very efficient level. Once you have those three elements, strategist, executor, and mentor, put together, those three is a very magical formula that just really, creates this environment for teams to really scale and to be good and to be happy with what they're doing.
That's so true. I mean, you speak about the dynamics of a team, the importance of team dynamics, psychology to build a successful team that runs together for a while. And consistency has definitely a value in making success, especially in the super, super competitive landscape of online marketing nowadays. I wanted to ask you if you guys had some external help. Did you get some organizational consulting to which hires to make, what personalities to look for? I run into that question many times. Whenever a company is about to hire someone like myself, they do have that conflict. Do we need to get someone in-house? Are we okay with putting all our money out there on Daniel's team? Trust someone who's eventually external. Even though I must say we're very committed, but still you are external to the company. Or get someone in-house, someone who's one of us, who's come to the office day to day and doing their work in the headquarters and so on. Did you guys get some external help? Do you think that's mandatory? Do you think that's essential, or companies can do without it?
So it was a mix, especially my role at CoreLogics. One of the first things that I asked for, because I was going to be the first marketer of the company, and the company was quite small, was to have an external mentor for myself, right? A CMO level person who has a ton of experience in the industry that CoreLogics is in, for me to kind of gain insights from. And that person was intimately involved initially with my decision-making process and was assisting me and helping to mentor me. And obviously there was a lot of work with the C-levels, right? So when you're in a small company and building out a team from scratch, you have to be highly, highly transparent with the C-levels, especially with the CEO, right? and working with that person, because that person has a vision as well, and it's very important for you to emulate that vision in the way you structure your teams as well. Obviously, you bring the expertise of your department, of your scope, but at the end of the day, it's very important that you are fully aligned with the C-suite. So for CoreLogics, it was kind of a mix of both a mentor assisting me to kind of structure my thoughts and structure, the pain points that we were having and what would be the most efficient and effective team to build out. And then aligning that with the C-suite, right, with the COO and the CEO at the time, and to really structure a marketing team that would be efficient for the company and would be most effective for getting the business metrics to an efficient level.
That's a brilliant idea, to get someone external, senior enough, experienced enough, maybe someone like your colleagues at the GCMO, to run with the team and just provide some of their perspective, their point of view on different stuff when building out the team. I want to ask you about your first hire. How do you determine your first hire, given that, let's say, you need a certain skill, whether if it's design or editing or writing, but given that you get this skill set in the person, I was wondering, what do you look for in your first hire? Do you look for someone who's kind of all-in-one person? Do you look for someone who's really good at team dynamics because he's going to be, the cornerstone of the team? Is it someone that needs to be, similar to you in personality-wise? Or can he be different than you? How do you determine those stuff?
Yeah, I mean, personalities, I think the way my judgment goes is obviously I want to make sure that I have, that the team that I'm working with is a team that I enjoy working with, right? And so I think the personality element to that and character is this a person that I will have a good time, working with? Not necessarily easy time, right? Because sometimes the people that are a bit harder to work with are in fact quite incredible at what they do, right? And it's kind of more of a limitation on yourself and how do you expand yourself so that you work better with people. So personality wise, obviously I kind of, one thing I map in my head at least is kind of the culture that I'm hoping to bring in with my team, right? And what I'm trying to emulate culturally, and kind of build this kind of template out and then just use that as a baseline. Like, is this person going to work well with a team that I'm envisioning, right? Through their attitude to the work that we do. So personality, it's kind of, a lot of the times I'm looking at personalities who are, it's very cliche, but hard workers, strong executors, truly believe in the, in the process, right? And just get things done, right? That's the kind of people you need. Again, it depends on the size of the company, depends on the size of the team and what kind of position, right? Especially when I came to CoreLogics, every person that I was hiring initially had to be a self-starter, had to be someone who was just someone I could trust to execute at a very high level, someone who I could work with as a partner to build out, strategies for different elements within marketing, because it was so crucial at that early stage to have these very strong hires in the beginning. When you get into bigger teams, obviously there's a lot more consideration that goes in, and not necessarily need someone to be exactly like you or exactly fits your perception of a culture. But yeah, my initial hires were people I trusted and people who I felt would execute at an extremely high level.
Great points. I think being a good executor is mandatory as far as small teams are concerned. You want someone who can be on top of everything, even if it's not his field of proficiency. You want them to be what we call in Hebrew big head, get some bit of everything, be able to perform even if not in their areas of comfort. Another thing I would like to add on top of that, which is similar but not the same, And I look for it every time I hire someone new, either for long-term employment or for certain project. I look for people who are proactive. I look for proactiveness. What do I mean by that? I need someone who's constantly trying, constantly pushing, someone who's following up on emails, on messages, on, I don't know, support tickets from various advertising platforms, someone who is trying like A/B testing, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of creatives, all kinds of funnels. I think it's really important nowadays in the competitive landscape of online marketing to be on top of everything you do, to be aware of new technologies, of new features of products you use, and to push all the time to get the maximum you can do on your own before referring something to your colleague, to your client, to the content writer, and so on and so forth. Joey, I want to speak to you about a certain project that touches both marketing departments and operations. Project you ran while working for Yotpo. I'm talking about the scoring project where you put a final numerical indication to every lead coming in from every source, every channel, every different date, to get a better assessment of the quality of the lead, the warmth, the likelihood of the lead to convert. So you ran this project. You brought data points from various endpoints, whether if external from data enrichment platforms out there or from internal, our CRM, our databases, and so on and so forth, tools that you used, tips that you can give companies that are about to execute like similar project. Perhaps there are some, I don't know, like plug and play tools out there today that companies can save their time and just connecting to them. How would you see that kind of project if you were to run the same thing all over again today?
So with scoring systems for CRMs, I think the first and most important exercise, which is very complicated, is asking the hard question of the company. Who are we targeting and who do we want to be targeting? Who are the most interesting people that we want to be targeting? And who do we target that actually brings money to the company, right? At the end of the day, right? Where are our successes? So building an ICP, an ideal customer profile, building out personas, right? And these are hard questions sometimes to ask, especially with early stage startups or startups, in their mid to early stages, because they're only starting to understand these concepts themselves. So it was a lot of meetings with the head of growth at the time, with the VP marketing. We even had a meeting with the CEO, with just about everyone in the team in marketing, as well as people outside of the marketing team, to kind of get a vision and understanding of who is our target audience, right? And then you build out an ICP, you build out personas, and then comes the math, right? Then comes building out a formula that takes this information, which is verbal information, and then quantifies it, right? Makes it into a number, right? And so you take a person and their company and where they're from, and you get a score, and that score represents how closely they are connected to our ideal person, right? So if you got a score out of 80 out of 100, then that's a very good score. If you got 90, that means you're extremely close to our ICP, and there should be a very high percentage conversion to a win. And so that process of quantifying that was quite complex, and I went through various iterations. At the end, we ended up building out a Python formula that ran the algorithm to then produce these scores as leads were coming into the CRM, and constantly adjusting it, because as the product evolves, also the ICP was evolving as well. So it was a multidisciplinary, multi-department project. to get this one result, which is just a score. It looks so simple, the outcome, but it took months and months of work to really get to that point where we had a score that we felt properly represented the chances of success. And with the analysis that we were doing afterwards, we actually saw that we, in fact, did quite a good job. Never perfect, but quite a good job with building out a scoring system that reflected the ICP, that reflected the personas that we were trying to target. So it was a multi-month project, multidisciplinary, a lot of listening, a lot of really diving deep and understanding the product and understanding who our end users are, right? And then trying to formulate a template of these users as best as possible.
So let's go back in time to the day you started the scoring project for Yotpo. Let's say you're about to do the whole thing all over again for another company. Given the changes in the landscape of automation, data enrichment platforms out there, how would you approach it today as opposed to how you approached it last time? More external tools, more of a gut feeling, or more formulas and data points and complex calculations and whatnot? How would you approach the whole thing all over again from scratch?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I did that project at Yotpo, it was the early days in this enrichment world, really. It was back in 2014, I believe, that we were back in Yotpo. A lot has changed since. There's a lot of startups that have built out their own scoring systems and their own scoring platforms that can be purchased. So SaaS products for scoring. There's just an unlimited amount of platforms now that do data enrichment. So I think it's gotten a lot easier to build out these scoring systems, a lot easier than what it was back in 2014. So if I would do it again, it would be probably a lot easier. The first stage is always very difficult, and that is defining the ICP, defining the persona. It's sometimes a very hard question for the company to answer because early stage, many companies try to just target a huge scope, right? A very wide scope, because it's very difficult for them to narrow it down so early on, right? So these are difficult questions. As a company matures, it becomes easier to answer, obviously, just because you're seeing successes. So that whole exercise hasn't changed much, right? That whole exercise is an exercise that takes a long time and requires all the input from everyone. The execution and the operations that goes into quantifying that information has become a lot easier. Is it easy? No, not at all. But it's a lot easier than it was back in 2014, just because of the amount of SaaS products they have today that could provide you that support. AI, like they have now AI systems that are running algorithms as well to further support these scoring systems. It's gotten a lot easier, for sure. And there's a lot more interesting technology out there. So I would say the first stage I would definitely have done the same way. The second stage probably would have been a lot easier now to do.
So you do divide it per stage one, which is designing the solution and then connecting to various technologies that got improved.
Absolutely. Enrichment APIs that have matured dramatically since then. Again, there's very powerful scoring platforms today as well that are just easier to implement for smaller startups. I nowadays, when I consult, I usually tell larger startups, larger companies to definitely potentially invest in internal scoring solutions. But for early stage, SaaS products do the job most of the time.
So Joey, thank you so much for sharing all that useful information. I also want to thank you for participating.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I had a great time.
And I want to thank you guys for listening. There are more episodes coming up. So yeah, I wish you keep on listening to us. And if anyone wants to hit me or Joey in a private message, then you can obviously find our information below. If you have any scoring project coming up or you want to just chit chat about any aspect of digital marketing, have a great day ahead, everyone.